It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yep, time to get into matters of the heart, and not just as individuals, but as a group in terms of where we are as a society. South Africans have long been aware of the value of goodwill and helping those in need, and we have definitely witnessed an upswing in generosity and charitable deeds as we have been living hand to mouth in the face of our current economic crisis, and it is a crisis. Now more than ever, a helping hand is absolutely vital, and today we are asking, do you get a good feeling from helping those in need? Why do we get the warm and fuzzies when we do good deeds? Well, clinical psychologist and good friend Asha Dullabh is here today to help us discuss this, and we are taking your questions and your comments, and those will fly out through our social media pages. So make a connection. Let us know if you've been doing something and why you do it.
I know. And you know what, Asha, this is going to be a very interesting topic, because I want to know, is it naturally within people to want to do good and do charity, or do you think there's some motivation behind it?
I think we are all hardwired to give. It is natural within us. I think within all of us, there's a charitable side within all of us, but naturally with people that are more altruistic in nature, it comes more natural. We feel motivated, we feel an experience of joy when we give. And that is actually, it does wonders for our overall well-being, our psychological well-being, our mental well-being, and of course our physical well-being. So it reduces stress by that experience of joy. There's a lovely warm glow theory that research speaks about, that we also get motivated by that sense of approval that we get from others.
The warm and fuzzies,
The warm and fuzzy, it's great, yeah. So.
That being said, and this is an interesting question, I think Zoe kind of hit a nerve with that one, because we do it because you should be doing it. Yet we do it because we love the feeling that we get from it, and it almost becomes a self-indulgent thing. We also love the way that it makes us look. Is this a bad thing? Surely the end result should be the most important thing here, but do you think we do it because we are being selfless, or do we do it because of that validation that we get?
So charity is selflessness. It's an act of selflessness, but you know, we naturally as human beings want that feel-good feeling. So whether it's putting it out on social media that I've done something, it's all about the intention. What is your intention that you're doing it from? It'll be great if it comes from a place of unconditional kindness, from the heart, with the intention of really wanting to do good, to create a greater sense of greater good for all the citizens of our nation.
I like that. And I know you mentioned the word earlier, altruistic. In order to truly be that, are you not supposed to be able to do good without getting that warm, fuzzy feeling that Graham's talking about?
Does it have to go on Instagram?
I think it's natural to get that warm, fuzzy feeling, because it's when you do good, you feel completely joyful. If you just think about yourselves when you do something, when you say a kind word to someone, or when you give something, a small gift or a donation, you feel good, and of course it hits our dopamine levels. It's that dopamine hit that we're looking for. So our brains actually want that pleasure circuit to be activated. And we then have like a helper's high that we experience. We're all looking for a high, and why not even, tackle into the helper's high?
Yeah, no, completely. And it also is a way of feeling like you're getting some sort of control back over a week like we've experienced, where it feels like nothing is in our control. Just by focusing on one individual, helping one person, one family, one organization, suddenly it feels like that you are getting into the right kind of space again, that there is that glimmer of light. How important is it now, in light of what we've been through, to see those slivers of hope?
Absolutely very important. I think sometimes we can feel overwhelmed by the extent of poverty, unemployment, or disasters, or trauma and devastation. But I mean, just it's actually these crises that bring communities together to help.
Yeah.
I mean, look what we've seen over the last few days of communities, people coming together, whether it's done on an individual basis or on a mass basis. It's a natural instinct to want to experience that joy, that glow feeling of helping.
And it is beautiful. I mean, I've been at the receiving end of, some people's generosity when you're at the pay station for your parking and it doesn't take your card. And then the person behind is like, hang on, and then they pay for your parking. So, and then it has a spillover effect where I was like, okay, I need to pay someone else's parking like the next time.
You need to pay it forward, yeah.
I need to pay it forward. But Asha Dullabh's not going anywhere. Of course, if you do have a comment or a question for us, we're also taking those comments on social media. So you can simply just head on over there because she's not going anywhere.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
It's Monday, and that means we are indeed talking relationships, but slightly differently this morning. Today we are asking, do you get a good feeling from helping those in need? Well, we've established that you do. And we're looking at that motivation, and we're back with clinical psychologist Asha Dullabh to unpack this topic. But please weigh in. If you've got any comments or any questions, you can go to Facebook. And if you want to chat directly with Asha and expand on anything that we've discussed today, go to @Asha Dullabh on Instagram. You can have a one-on-one, which helps a lot, because I would imagine there are a lot of people now sitting there thinking, I need to do something, I want to do something, but it's so overwhelming when we look at the bigger picture. There is so much need. We're getting, even this morning, two of the biggest NGO networks have told us to give completely different things. So we're like, well, what do you do? Do you think it's a good place to start with maybe something that matters to you? Where do we begin this journey towards selflessness?
I think that we connect with giving on an emotional level. So where we are emotional about something, we are able to give so much more easily. And we can give in thought, in word, and in deed, in material. It doesn't just have to be something that you have to give in monetary value. Yeah. So even just sending out a prayer or lighting a candle is charity and giving on another level. It's an energy. And it's also an exchange of giving and receiving. It creates a universal flow of energy.
It plugs you into that cycle. Yeah.
And speaking of that energy, I know a lot of people often say, they want to help, they feel helpless. Money's quite tight at the moment, so they're not in a position to give financially. But how important is it for them to, just give of their time, like you mentioned?
Absolutely. Time and energy is of utmost importance. Nelson Mandela's words, he says that there's no greater gift than giving of one's time and energy to help others without expecting anything in return. And there he says it. It's beautiful to be able to do that.
It is beautiful.
It's so difficult where we are right now. So many people are struggling. The socio-economic situation in the country is bad already. Then COVID comes, bam, knocks you down. Then we go through a week like this last week, which has probably been one of the worst post-94, let's be honest, in terms of it's taken us back to this kind of traumatic space. It's so difficult to think about other people when we are ourselves caught in the middle of trauma. Why do we need to then now focus on that more than ever?
We are needing to focus on that because we are citizens of our nation, and it's our responsibility to think about the greater good of ourselves and as well as the collective, our nation. And we do it in a way with, just tapping into our level of compassion, bringing in a sense of community. Remember that we're not alone in helping. Look how communities have come together in the last few days to collectively help.
Yeah.
And it brings in a spirit of Ubuntu, a spirit of togetherness, a spirit of oneness in a collective way.
And now it's not just a marketing gimmick being used by a brand on TV.
No.
It's real. We're starting to truly understand what the word means.
It is real, and I kind of want to flip the script a little bit for the people at the receiving end of, others' generosity. I think there's a lot of expectations when you do something for someone, and then there's that expectation of they must now be grateful, but that's not always the case because there's a lot of their own emotions involved, including that of vulnerability and shame.
Yeah.
How can one be sensitive to that, to the person who is on the receiving end?
I think the greatest lesson as human beings that we need to learn is the ability to receive. We struggle with receiving, and that is a universal lesson for us to learn. And we can just be sensitive by, it again links to that intention, because you will feel it energetically if there's an expectation that is required in that giving. But people need to receive with complete gratitude and complete openness to receiving that, because it's again that flow of universal law and universal energy. We give to receive, and that's how we create abundance together.
I'm thinking, what if I had $1 billion to be able to give away and plug into the causes that mattered most to my heart? There are those guiding lights, those people out there, the Oprah Winfreys, the Bill Gates of the world, that are doing this, literally giving away billions to be able to ensure that humanity progresses. We're going to get into those personality types and traits and why there should be such a guiding light for us. Asha's not going anywhere. Don't move a muscle.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Well, you're just in time. On Mondays, we talk relationships, and this morning it's one of a different kind. We are asking you the question, do you get a good feeling from helping those in need? We are back with clinical psychologist Asha Dullabh to literally unpack this topic. And we love for you to weigh in on the questions and the comments on our Facebook page, and we'll get to some of those now. But I think, Asha, you know, earlier, just before we went into the break, Graham was talking about the billionaires giving away their funds through their philanthropy projects and all of that. And what level do you have to reach to be able to do that?
Well, you need to have the financial resources, you need to have the time, you need to have the energy, but it also comes with a certain type of person, a person that is open to look at different systems, different values. There's a different layer. There's purpose, there's reflection, there's analysis, there's a long-term vision and viewpoint in philanthropy. Different from charity. You know, charity is more short-term, where philanthropy is long-standing. So personality types that Graham was mentioning earlier, you know, you have someone that is more extroverted, more open, more agreeable, more compassion, there's friendliness, there's a way to connect and communicate. Also, our values come into play, our personal values as human beings. But of course, they hold a lot of power in being able to help on a very, very broad scale because they have the financial resources.
Okay.
And thank goodness we have those to offset the scales in a very top-heavy world where very few hold most of the wealth. Let's be honest here, it's thank goodness that we've got that re-tipping of the scales, if you will. Let's talk about the everyday person, if you will, the person who doesn't necessarily have $1 billion to give, but they are feeling the need to be a part of this Ubuntu, to be a part of that positive movement forward. What do you suggest is the right way to approach this? What's the first step for someone who wants to build philanthropy into their own living model, if you will?
I think that you can look within what is something that you really are connected with or that you're interested in, that you are passionate about, and then you can maybe get involved, because charity is also about getting a greater understanding about a cause or about a community. So it's just not about just donating or monetary value. So it's also, remember that we're very tribal in nature, so we will get involved with things that we feel connected with, whether it's our old school or whether it's a soccer team or whether it's something in the community. So
just one individual's life.
Exactly. It's just that it must be that experience of joy that we experience when we do those acts of charity.
Because I've got to add to that, because we obviously get exposed to a lot on the show and get asked to engage in a lot of these things and have had some amazing moments. And I'll follow your social media with what you've been able to do with an orange, for instance, over the last year, how many people's lives have been changed by that. But often once you engage, you realize that it's something else entirely. So I thought that it was about feeding people, my drive in that space, but then realized very quickly that it was actually about early childhood development and helping kids at that youngest age, and that it wasn't necessarily what I thought it was, but maybe a socio-economic issue was driving the riots that are happening. We know that there was a faction behind it, but often, you know, we are just ignorant to what's actually going on, and just that first engagement, taking that first step, will open our eyes.
Definitely, and I think that also leads to the next question. It's like, what are some of the impactful ways we can encourage people to, you know, get involved or to contribute in some form, whether it's
how do we inspire people?
Energy,
I think that it also starts with teaching children about charity. And having more kind of educational campaigns about what does it really mean to be charitable or to give. Let's not use the word charitable, but just merely the word to give. And we do that by having more conversations about it. looking right into the values and really tapping into that experience of when you're actually giving. Talk about that emotion of giving and that feeling of that joy, because it is an utmost joyful experience, and it has such longitudinal health benefits.
Yeah.
It reduces stress. Yeah. And we can do it in ways of, as I said earlier on, just a mere thought or a prayer. You know, I love to share this Hawaiian healing technique. It's Ho'oponopono, and it's just 4 phrases, and it says, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you. Wow. And if those are words that we can echo throughout our days through people, with our interacting with an individual, it's beautiful. So if we can make a choice that in every transaction that we have with an individual, let us try and give in a thought, give in a compliment, a gesture, a smile. We are giving. Yeah. And that will just aid for a greater nation. And it's our responsibility as human beings to give openly, unconditionally.
Unconditionally is the key.
Yeah. As citizens of this country, certainly it is our responsibility and our calling right now. You can continue this discussion with Asha at Asha Dullabh on Instagram. You'll find her there all day. DM her, go and check out her posts, go and continue that engagement. So many more ways of looking at this multifaceted topic, but the bottom line is you feel better when you give, so go and give something today.